Living with Meaning. In this segment, we will hear insights from Herley Abdul Hamid. Herley aspires to inspire individuals to live a meaningful life through agility, humility, and gratitude. Through life stories. It doesn't matter where you live in this world, I believe the stories that Herley has to share with you today is going to inspire you to be a dream maker, a game changer, or a risk taker in your life. Herley.
Yes.
So how has your day been today?
It's been an exciting day. I think, like many of us, we are in the rat race. And so what happened today, I managed to come up with an idea to introduce a different way of delivering ways of working in Agile. So we are going to introduce Agile Teh Tarik, very Malaysian way. And then I'm going to introduce these to BP globally.
Wow.
So it's like exporting our Agile Teh Tarik.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
When was the time that you shifted your perspective from being like everyone else to who you are today?
Yeah, I think I need to be very careful. Like, everybody else is doing okay as well. But in the world that we live today, a lot of people think about making a fortune. There was one time I remember actually in my last job, I was asked to deliver a project really, really big that I had to report to the CIO, the global CIO. So it was already putting me on the track to move to my next career progression as a more senior project managers. And I remember actually I was traveling to many countries. I was in Switzerland, I was in France, I was in Qatar, and I was working really hard that I had burnout. That was my first life experience of having serious burnout, and I was already thinking of writing that letter. I want to resign. There was one night I was talking to my program manager in Qatar, in Doha. I was in the hotel alley. I was telling him that I'm going to leave. He told me, Herley, even if you leave today, the company is not going to go bankrupt tomorrow. You just imagine, in many of my experience, if you stay, in the next 3 years, I'll be having my drink, you'll be having your drink, we'll be laughing at it. I think that was the beginning of it. Then I realized one thing is, I was a perfectionist. So I took a 1 month break, and I want to share with you. In that 1 month break, I met few people, and one thing I learned actually, I need to be able to accept that in life, there is this what we call as good enough. So I became a bit slower, and then instead of trying to make a fortune, I was focusing on making a difference. That's where it started.
Wow. And for me, like, I've only met you like a month ago, and in that time I heard that you wrote a book a few years ago, Living with Meaning.
Sure.
And one of the parts in this book, it talks about the lessons from the carrot, the egg, and the coffee beans. Could you kind of talk me through that?
Yeah. I think that's a fable that inspired me. It's more of a mother and a daughter talking about how do you differentiate actually when you put a pot of boiled water. Once you put egg or you put carrot, or you put coffee. And the difference between this coffee, carrot, and even egg is about how you reflect to what changes in your life. And the story talk more about what happened to carrot. Carrot actually initially is hard, but it turns soft, through the same boiling water.
Yeah.
And what happened to egg, it becomes harder. And what happens to coffee, it releases fragrance.
Oh wow, yeah.
To me, I reflect more of me trying to find a more meaningful life. That means in the case of coffee, even though you are put in hot water, which is boiling, but you releases fragrance. It doesn't mean that actually when you turn hard in adversity is bad, but you need to always look at how you can get the best out of the situation. So living with meaning actually in reflection to my story just now is the point that I was really down, and one of the reason actually was I'm having a disabled son. He was born with cerebral palsy, and that experience gave me a big challenge, me and my family. And then we realized actually looking at him, he must have meaning when he comes to our life, me and my wife, and we reflected that there are things that we can look from the positive side. That's the beginning of it, and I took the opportunity after my burnout to start writing the book.
Wow, that's, like, not many people are able to do that, like, after having a situation like that and to turn it around and start writing a book. That is just very inspiring, and I think this book is now, you've done it for not just for your son but also for the Spastic Center, right?
Yes.
That's so. What's that bit about the Spastic Center and how is that connection?
Correct, yeah. This is where making a difference or becoming a game changer or dream maker comes. If I look at my son, let me just share with you, Hema. My son cannot walk. That's quite common, but he cannot talk. It gets more complicated. He cannot see. He's blind. Even worse, he cannot even eat. He is now bedridden. Throughout his life, throughout our life, doctor has pronounced him like 3 or 4 times that we just need to let him go. But the stubborn Herley, actually, I said that no, we'll do whatever we can. As a result, actually, I went to Beijing to do stem cell in military hospital. My son was the first patient in Malaysia to go through stem cell treatment in Malaysia for brain injury, and I did all sorts of things. So these are all stories that we went through. And what I realized actually out of doing all this, we have not seen our son waking up and then start walking. But we see actually it gets us as a family closer. If you look at adversity, I'm looking at how do you bring in advocacy into adversity. So what I did was actually I dedicate the book where 100% of the royalty goes to the Spastic Center of Selangor and Federal Territory, which is the largest in the country. And that school is where my son had his first education in his life. Yeah.
And that's your personal life, and then at work you are also doing this thing, or you're trying to also inspire people to be agile way of living or agile living. Is that what you're trying to do? So what's that mean and what's that all about?
Yeah. The story is actually before I joined my current organization, I was with another organization. They were a competitor, and when I wrote the book, it was globally recognized by my previous employer. And that's where I started bringing in the book as part of what I'm doing. You don't find many agile coach like me actually who goes and then start talking about life when you're supposed to be talking about sprints, about scrums and all these methods in the in project delivery. So what I've done, I bring my personal story, because reflections of living with meaning means you're focusing on values. We are living for many people, they are living this plan-driven life. Meaning, they want to go to school at a certain age, they want to get degree, graduate at a certain age, get married at a certain age, have children and so on. So plan. Can you really plan in the days that we are living today? It's getting more and more difficult. The only thing that keeps coming back to us are changes. So one of the key things that maybe you, as your experience in Agile and Scrum as well, I'm sure you know that, we respond to change over following a plan. So Agile Living, in extension to my living with meaning, is actually how do you focus on meaning. So instead of, as I mentioned, instead of making a fortune, we are making a difference. And if you look at the economic model that we are living today, it's no longer about wealth because of your inheritance. It's not because of where you're coming from, but what values you bring. And as a result, actually, we are talking about making a difference even at corporate level. So if I bring my personal story into corporate level as what I'm doing now, people find it's more inspiring. And Agile is about transforming people. Do you think people want to transform if there is nothing that touches their hearts? I personally think it is very helpful, very useful to bring in that human touch. That's where Agile and Living, I marry both of them together. And yeah, I'm quite positive actually it's going to work.
Yeah, I totally think so. I mean, one of the reasons why I think I connected with you was, I mean, being someone who has been in the Agile space for quite a few years, I've seen a lot of people who look at the Agile world in a very tools-based or process-based, but you've come from, mindset and humility, and that's just totally different.
Yeah, you did mention about my personal life agenda or mission to inspire people, to inspire meaningful life through agility, humility and gratitude. Gratitude actually comes from living with meaning, because one of the things that I learned actually, the more I feel grateful, the easier it becomes to handle difficulties in life. And humility is very important, because it is through humility we can learn. We can realize actually we are not perfect, but we are happy with whatever that we have. Otherwise, life is going to be very miserable, especially in the social media world that we're living in. We start comparing ourselves with other people, and we feel like you're lagging, and then you're lacking whatever that they have.
Yeah. So, if you had to guide or inspire or give some words of wisdom to someone who wants to be a change maker or dream maker, or who just wants to live a life that they really want to live, what's that advice you would give them?
I think at the end of the day, whose game are you going to? I would question actually, whose game are you trying to change? I think first of all, before we try to change the world, change ourselves. And the way I personally looked at actually is what makes you happy, because no point of trying to change the world and it gives you miserable life. So, but if you're making yourself happy, I'm sure your happiness actually will be contagious and start affecting the whole world. So that's how it works. And I'm sure everybody would have their own thing that they can contribute. If you look at your own strength, weakness, opportunity, and so on, they are one way or another that you can contribute and make a difference. Yeah.
Wow, that's just such a good answer, because there's no there's no one size fits all. It's all everyone's got that unique journey, and that's yeah.
No, I mean if everybody is trying to make a difference from or using the same method, then nobody is making any difference, because it's all the same.
Yeah.
That's where the diversity that we have. I think one of the key things actually, having worked and lived in or traveled in many parts of the world, like you, like me. We have seen different people with different ideas. I think how do we bring in together and then make people be themselves and be the best version of themselves? Yeah. I think that's the biggest difference or game changer that anyone can do. Yeah.
So now let's go to the segment of short questions, rapid fire. So do you have any favorite books or songs that's inspired you?
Yeah, I'm a keen follower of Stephen Covey. His 7 Habits is really inspiring to me. I remember by heart.
I think I saw bits of it in the book actually.
Exactly. And the reason why I like Stephen Covey's 7 Habits is really because of the structure. When you talk about being, when you're born, you become so dependent, you become independent, you become interdependent, and then the thing that you start with your end in mind and so on, is very helpful. It's very easy to follow. One of the things that I personally have in my mind actually to translate my living with meaning into sort of similar, because I have 10 chapters. It's just that time is not, it's not okay yet. But if I have time and opportunity, I really want to expand each chapter, because they can be another 10 habits. Almost the same method, yeah. Or even you're talking about song, right?
Yes.
One of the things that I realized, I like the Hero by Mariah Carey.
Okay.
And one thing, at the point of adversity, then we realize actually there is a small hero actually in you, and that keeps me moving. Yeah, especially looking at the various challenges in life. Yeah.
Okay, and now's the more light-hearted segment. So do you prefer roti canai or teh tarik?
Both are not good for me, especially with my... but being Malaysian, I can't run away from that. So,
okay, and do you prefer a hot day or a rainy day?
Rainy day.
A rainy day,
yeah.
And why is that?
Especially because I come from kampong, from village. Actually, in kampong, especially when you have zinc roof, so it makes you a bit sleepy and then it's a bit nice. Yeah, and Malaysian, we are hot enough actually. I know we have a lot of hot people here, but let's not make it hotter actually with the weather. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming here and joining us today.
Thanks, Emma, for the invitation.